Dear students, good day. Let us start our session with History, Unit 2 from Trade to Territory. In this session, we are going to learn about the rise of political power of English East India Company, the Carnatic Wars and Mysore Wars, the growth of army and civilian administration. In 1498, Vasco da Gama of Portugal discovered a new sea route from Europe to India. The main motive behind those discoveries was to maximum profit through trade and to establish political power. The rule of East India Company in India became effective after the conquest of Bengal. The main interest of the company in India was territorial and commercial expansions. Black Hole Tragedy. There was a small cell room in the Fort William in Calcutta where troops of the Nawab of Bengal, Sirajuddaula, held 146 British prisoners of war for one night. Next day morning, when the door was opened, 123 of the prisoners found dead because of suffocation. Alivardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, died in 1756 and his grandson Sirajuddaula ascended the throne of Bengal. The British, taking advantage of the new Nawab's weakness and unpopularity, seized power. So Sirajuddaula decided to teach them a lesson by attacking over their political settlement of Calcutta. The dual system, which was introduced by Robert Clive, was abolished by Warren Hastings, and Bengal completely came under the direct control of the company administration. In 1756, the company, in order to deter the French attack, began to fortify Calcutta. Sirajuddaula became the Nawab of Bengal. He marched to Calcutta and defeated the English. The defeat of the English at the hands of Sirajuddaula triggered the British. The company official, led by Robert Clive along with Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of Sirajuddaula, and other fractions of the court, colluded in this plan. After the defeat of Plassey, Sirajuddaula was assassinated and Mir Jafar was made the Nawab. Mir Jafar was just a puppet in the hands of Britishers. In 1764, the Battle of Boxer was fought between Britishers and Mir Qasim, when Mir Qasim denied the privileges given by Britishers. Mir Qasim abolished the trade duty for everyone and transferred his capital from Murshidabad to Mongoor. But this was against the interest of British and they declared war. In this battle, Mir Qasim, Sirajuddaula and Shah Alam, the Mughal king, fought against British and British forces were led by Hector Munro. Three Carnatic War was fought between various Indian rulers, British and French. Britain and France were challenger countries in Europe. Their fight continued in India over trade and territories. The main cause of First Carnatic War. Already in Europe, in 1744, the War of Austrian Succession broke out in Europe between the Austria and Prussia. The French supported the Prussia and the English supported the Austria. The war sparked between France and England held up in India. It broke out between them two, eager to extend their relation in India. Dupleix, the French governor of Pondicherry, wanted to drive away the English from India. Course of the war. Dupleix marched towards Madras, where he defeated the English naval fleet and captured Madras. The Nawab ordered Dupleix to return Fort St. George to the British, but the Nawab forces were defeated by the French. Result of First Carnatic War. The First Carnatic War came to an end by Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Second Carnatic War. The main cause is the result of the First Carnatic War disappointed the French fleet in India, and they wanted to reduce the growing influence of British in Carnatic region. So Dupleix began to increase his power by interfering in local dynastic politics in Carnatic region. He got the opportunity in the dynastic disputes in Hyderabad and Carnatic. This civil succession led to Second Carnatic War. The issue of succession are in Carnatic and Hyderabad. Anwardin Khan and Chanda Sahib, throne of Carnatic, Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung, throne of Hyderabad. Both the sides got help from British and French. Robert Clive. He left a strong army in St. George, and with 200 British soldiers and 300 Sepoys, he marched towards Arcot. He seized the Arcot without much efforts. The result of the Second Carnatic War. The English emerged successful in the war by Treaty of Pondicherry. Third Carnatic War. The 7 Years' War in Europe led to the Third Carnatic War in India. County Lally was French governor, captured Fort St. David, Kadalur, with the view to annex Chennai. He attacked the ruler of Tanjore. He called Bisi from Hyderabad to attack Madras. Robert Clive sent his general Sir Ayerkuti to fight against the French. A war took place between the French and the British at Vandivash, where County Lally was defeated by Sir Ayerkuti. The English captured the French territories. Sir Ayerkuti was honored with the title Hero of Vandivash. Result of Third Carnatic War. Chandranagore and Pondicherry returned to French, allowed French to have factories, but the administration fell to British, and the Treaty of Paris was held. Mysore War. The state of Mysore rose to prominence in the politics of South India under the leadership of Hyder Ali. He and his son Tipu Sultan played a prominent role against the expansion of British Empire in India. Both of them faced the English with undoubted courage. In 1761, Hyder Ali became the king of Mysore. He gave West Indian military training to his force. First Mysore War. Hyder Ali's growing power and his friendly relation with the French became a matter of concern for the English East India Company. Hyder Ali not fought to Marathir but defeated Nizam, and Hyder Ali won by Treaty of Madras. Second Mysore War. Hyder Ali died of cancer during the course of the war. After the death of Hyder Ali in 1782, his son Tipu Sultan continued the war against the English. At the end, Treaty of Mangalore was signed. Third Mysore War. Tipu appointed French officers to give military training to his force and joined French Jacobs Club. In 1797, he conquered Badshah. Tipu felt hopeless and opened negotiations with the English. Cornwallis agreed, and the Treaty of Srirangapatnam was concluded in 1792. Fourth Mysore War. Wellesley declared war against Tipu in 1799. The war was short. As planned, the Bombay army under General Stewart invaded Mysore from the west. The Madras army, which was led by the Governor General's brother, Arthur Wellesley, forced Tipu to retreat to his capital, Srirangapatnam. On 4th May 1799, Srirangapatnam was captured. Tipu fought bravely and was killed finally. Thus entered the Fourth Mysore War, and the whole of Mysore lay prostrate before the British. First Anglo-Maratha War. The first Peshwa Bajirao died in 1761 due to the shock after his defeat at the Third Battle of Panipat. The son Madhava Rao succeeded him. The English were aware of the growing Maratha power. When Madhava Rao died, there was a fight for power in the Maratha camp. Result of First Anglo-Maratha War. In 1781, Warren Hastings dispatched British troops. He defeated the Maratha chief Mahadaji Scindia, and finally Treaty of Salbai was signed. Second Anglo-Maratha War. The Maratha Confederacy consists of five major chiefs: the Peshwa from Pune, the Gaikwad from Baroda, the Holkars from Indore, Scindias from Gwalior, and Bonsleys at Nagpur. The Holkars of Indore defeated the Peshwas and Scindias. Baji Rao too sought British protection. The Scindias and the Bonsleys did not accept this treaty, and this caused the Second Anglo-Maratha War. Result of Second Anglo-Maratha War. The Maratha power was gradually weakened. The English East India Company started becoming the paramount power in India. Third Anglo-Maratha War. One last attempt to rebuild their old prestige, and they wanted to retake all their old possessions from the English. The major reason for this war was due to the British conflict with the Pindaris, whom the British suspected were being protected by the Marathas. Peshwa Baji Rao II forces supported by those of Mudoji II of Nagpur and Malhar Rao of Indore rose against the East India Company. Result of Third Anglo-Maratha War. The Maratha Confederacy was dissolved and the Peshwaship was abolished. The Baji Rao II, the last Peshwa of Maratha, was given annual pension of 8 lakh rupees. The British administrative organization in India. The British Indian administration was run by four principal institutions, that is, civil services, army, police, and judiciary. Civil services. Translating law into action and collecting revenue were the main jobs of the civil service. Initially, appointment was done by court of directors of the company. In 1892, the minimum age for appearing for the civil service examination was raised to 21 and the maximum to 23. In 1912, a Royal Commission on Public Service was appointed, chaired by Lord Islington. This commission had two Indian members, G. K. Gokhale and Sir Abdur Rahim, besides four Englishmen. This commission's recommendations partly fulfilled the demand for the Indianization of civil service. In 1923, a Royal Commission on Public Services was appointed with Lord Lee of Fareham as chairman. This commission recommended that employment to all Indian services like the Indian Civil Service, the Indian Police Service, and the Indian Forest Service should be made and controlled by the Secretary of State for India. The Act of 1935 also made provisions for the establishment of the Federal Public Service Commission at the center and the Provincial Public Service Commissions in various provinces. Provision was also made for a Joint Public Service Commission in two or more provinces. The main aim of this measure was to serve the British interest. It became the base of the civil service system in independent India. Army. The army was a second important pillar of the British administration in India. The East India Company started enroll its own army, which came to be known as the Sipai Army. That Sipai Army was trained and disciplined according to European military standards and was commanded by European officers in the battlefield. Army had a great contribution in the establishment and expansion of British rule in India. Indian soldiers were given less salaries than English soldiers. In 1857, the Indians constituted about 86% of the total strength of the company's army. However, the officers of the army were exclusively British. After the revolt of 1857, the important changes were made in the Indian Army services in 1858. They increased British troops and reduced Indian troops. Also, only English were appointed in artillery.
Police. The police system was created by Lord Cornwallis.
He established a system of circles or thanas, each headed by a daroga. The authority of the daroga extended to the village watchmen who performed the police duties in the villages. In the big cities, the old office of kotwal was, however, continued, and a daroga was appointed to each of the wards of the city. The daroga system was extended to Madras in 1802. All the thanas were under the general supervision of the district judge. In 1808, a superintendent of police was appointed for each division. Later, the district collector was entrusted with the task of controlling the police force in districts. The main task of the police was to handle crime and to prevent plot against the British rule. Judiciary system. By the Regulating Act of 1773, a Supreme Court was set up in Calcutta. This court consisted of a Chief Justice and three puisne judges who were appointed. On the model of the Supreme Court of Calcutta, a Supreme Court was established in Madras in 1801 and in Bombay in 1823. A Indian Law Commission was established to compile the laws. A rule of law was established for the whole empire. According to the Indian High Courts Act 1861, three high courts were set up in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras in place of the old Supreme Courts. Subsidiary alliance. Lord Wellesley introduced this system to bring the princely states under the control of the British. It was a most effective instrument for the expansion of the British territory and political influence in India. The princely state was called the protected state, and the British came to be referred as the paramount power. It was the duty of the British to safeguard the state from external aggression and to help its ruler in maintaining internal peace. Indian king should not pay amount towards sort of resident. A British company's resident was kept in the court. Ruler was provided with military security. The rulers should not negotiate with other ruler for anything. It comes under this policy. Doctrine of lapse. Lord Dalhousie was one of the chief architects of the British Empire in India. He adopted a new policy known as Doctrine of Lapse to extend British Empire. He made use of this model and declared in 1848 that if the native rulers adopted children without the earlier permission of the company, only the personal properties of the rulers would go to the adopted sons and the kingdoms would go to the British paramount power. This principle was called Doctrine of Lapse. This was opposed by the Indians and it was one of the root causes for the Great Revolt of 1857. In this session, we learnt about the rise of political power of English East India Company, Carnatic Wars and Mysore Wars, the growth of army and civilian administration. Thank you.